Warning! The opinions on this podcast are of the hosts and guests only, and may contain childish humor. Listen at your own discretion. And now, please adjust your headphone volumes to an unreasonable level and prepare to enjoy the most dynamic and electrifying podcast that cyberspace has encountered.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the show. This is episode 60 of Sports Bliss
with Rob
and Chris. And we have a very special guest with us today. This is Alan from UCF Football Updates here on Instagram. So good to have you.
Yeah, guys, thanks for having me. I'm real excited to talk UCF today with you guys.
Welcome to the show. I'm excited to have another UCF guy on the show. As you know, Kristie
I am a Gator.
She's a Gator.
Oh.
I am a Gator, but I'm a good wife, and I do support UCF.
She does go to the games, and she loves it. She cheers for us, sometimes under her breath. But
You go to the Gators games with her, though?
No.
It's too far, you know? I mean, why would I go to a Gator game?
Oh.
No, but no, we actually almost went to that Gator game at the...
It was here. I want to say the Citrus Bowl.
I always say the Citrus Bowl. I always forget the name of it. Yeah. But when they opened at the beginning of the season, we were going to go to that in the last minute. I think it was some bad weather, and we decided not to. And
against the Canes, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Next time.
No, definitely. That's what I told her. We'll get to Gainesville one year. So.
Right. Well, hopefully the Gators just play the Knights, and then we don't have to. You can just do it in Orlando.
Exactly. If they would do a 1-for-1, but she doesn't agree with that. She doesn't think we deserve it.
No Gator
Those are her. These are her
fan.
words. You think you deserve everything. But...
Well, we'll get into that on another. That's a pretty hot topic. I don't want to offend anybody.
Yeah, but we love it. This is the reason we do the podcast. We do this at home anyway, so we said we might as well record it. So
I love it.
Yeah.
It's a great idea.
We just love talking smack.
Yeah.
That's it.
So what do you think about this upcoming season?
Yeah, I'm really excited about UCF football this year. In my mind, I think this is the most anticipated season in school history, right up there with 2018. You know, after the undefeated season, everyone wanted to see if, we could come back strong or for just a one-hit wonder. But this year feels like the making of something really special. Last year we had a quote-unquote off year. And, this year there's a lot of things to make this year special. I mean, first of all, you have Dillon Gabriel coming back, sophomore, who was probably the most explosive freshman quarterback in school history. Then you just have a wealth of skill talent coming back around him, both on offense and then on defense. And then the schedule has all the makings for, us to really put ourselves in the conversation. You have UNC, potential top 25 matchup against UNC right away in week 1. Then you have Georgia Tech. So you have 2 ACC Power 5 schools, which we know how obsessed the media is with, us playing Power 5. And then we get Memphis and Cincinnati this year, the other 2, front runners in the American Athletic Conference. So we're talking about potentially maybe 3 ranked games if Memphis and Cincy are ranked again, which they finished the year ranked last year. So you have that and maybe the conference championship with as a 4th ranked opponent. I think there's a chance to really do something special. And if you recall last year when we beat Stanford or demolished Stanford to start out 3-0, for the first time in like 2 or 3 years, I really saw the media kind of turn their tide. National media was really starting to say, hey, if UCF runs the table, they're in the playoff conversation. Now, I don't know if the committee would have agreed, but either way, the media started to back us. So I think that momentum kind of carried over into this season. So when you look at the schedule, the returning talent, and then Dillon Gabriel, who anytime in college football, when you have that elite quarterback position kind of filled, I think you really feel like you can make a lot of things happen. And then just the senior class is probably the most loaded senior class we have. There's 25 seniors this year with about probably 90 to 95% of them are true playmakers. So all those factors, I think this is probably the most anticipated season in school history.
Yeah, I think this class is, definitely, like you said, we're very mature for once, for several years.
Right.
And so I think that's a big thing. And, going back to what you said about the media, really when I think they came into game day at UCF, you started seeing things kind of change. And, the old saying, perception is reality. They're starting to perceive us in a different light. And even, I saw fan side, we joked about it on our last podcast. they wrote an article about trading Vandy for UCF to go into the SEC. And they were like, just do it. They would be much better than Vandy there. They're like, embrace it, SEC fans. You'd have a better strength of schedule, better competition, a better school, as far as sports. And it's just interesting how this is kind of swung all the way around. But I think you're totally right. And you could even say Houston is probably going to be good this year. So you may have 4 or 5 ranked teams that we play. So, you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. And, exactly. You said Houston, who, I think they're going to probably have a bounce back year. I mean, they did lose the quarterback over to Miami, but Derek King. But we have Houston, and then I think the American Athletic Conference last year had 4 ranked teams, 4 teams that finished in the top 25, and then SMU was in the votes to be ranked column. So you had 5 teams finish with double-digit wins last year. It was really a banner season for not just the American, but the group of 5, because Boise State and Appalachian State and Air Force all finished ranked in the AP top 25. So there was 7 teams in the top 25 that were in the top 25. So, but especially the American led the way. So when you talk about, strength of schedule, our conference looks really good. And if we make a conference championship, I mean, I think there, has the makings to be something really special. And, our conference is no joke. I know people like to sit there and say, blah, 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 strength of schedule. But I think we're the 5th best conference last year. I think it was obviously
some people said the 4th or 5th actually last year.
I think so.
Yeah.
I really do believe that. And there was a lot of NFL players that came out of Temple last year, SMU, UCF. I mean, there was, a good amount of pros that got drafted this year from our conference.
Oh, a ton of talent everywhere.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Seems like hopefully if we do have a schedule, which, I mean, that's what it seems like we're leaning towards, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. From what I've heard locally here, they're planning, they have plans out to open the campus. So they're going to plan on start having students back. I think they're meeting today with the state for all the universities to kind of show their plans and get everything open. But they're bringing the players back to start to practice soon, and I don't see this not happening. Right. We talked about it before. If college football doesn't happen, that's a $4 billion industry gone. $4 billion. And they actually said out of it, 1.2 billion of it is ticket sales or stadium day generated. So, when I started thinking about it, I heard people talking, schools like UCF and the American League, they really need fans in the stands. And Boise State, they're talking about all these small schools, right? Or not small, but the non-Power 5. They need it for their budgets. But if you think about it, for instance, your Gators, their budget is about $160 million. UCF's is about $60 million. UCF gets about $30 million from the game days. Mm-hmm. The Gators are probably getting 70 to 80. Yeah. Because of the size of their stadium and the ticket prices. So they need it just as much as we do. Right. Because their actual budget, what they spend, say their budget's $150 million, they spend $149 million. So, they plan to spend it all. They can't just pull that money out of, the thin air. So I think everybody's counting on it. And it's all football.
Right.
It's all
not
football.
Like it's basketball or base. I mean, some schools, I guess it's basketball, but football is bringing the majority of the revenue for a lot of these schools.
Yeah, it's basketball and football, 100%. And, I saw today they were talking about a lot of the leagues are talking about pairing up with each other, like Conference USA and some other conference. They were talking about going together and doing regional games and make one huge conference so they don't have to travel as much. But a lot of people have talked about this for a long time, besides football and basketball, to make all the other sports regional. So, for instance, there's a big push in Florida right now. Even the ACC is talking about this, of just saying, hey, you can play at a conference. You can do whatever you want to do in baseball, for instance. And in Florida, that would benefit all the schools. It would benefit UCF, UF, FSU, because we all have great baseball teams. And we could play each other all the time, and we don't have to spend the money for travel.
Right.
UF supposedly won the championship a few years ago in baseball, and they lost $3 million in baseball that year. It's amazing.
That's
it's just so wasteful when they could be playing good teams anyway.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely.
And I think if that happens, that's good for us as UCF, because that's the first chink in the armor of the Power 5. Because then if they consider us, if they consider us the same for baseball and soccer and all these others, well, before long, they're going to consider us the same in basketball and football and all that. So it may be a really good thing for us.
Right. I agree.
So Alan, who do you think from the receivers after Gabe Davis is gone, who do you think is going to step up this year?
Well, UCF has been just blessed to have, I mean, if you were to call what our two best positions were throughout the history of UCF, it's clearly wide receivers and defensive backs. I mean,
definitely.
That's where defensive backs is where most of our NFL talent is, and wide receivers, we just always have burners and just guys that are just extremely talented, Florida guys. But yeah, Gabe Davis is gone, like you said, but I'm not worried at all about that department. First of all, I'm really excited about Marlon Williams. I think he's had the potential to be a number one receiver since he stepped foot on campus. He was just buried on the depth chart behind guys like Traquan Smith, Gabe Davis, Dredrick Snelson. I mean, we just had so many guys that he was always that fourth or fifth guy. But then towards the end of last year, you really started to see him break out, especially in the Gasparilla Bowl against Marshall, where he went for over 100 yards, had a touchdown, made their DBs look silly. I really think this is his year to really be that number one guy. But he's obviously going to be challenged by Trey Nixon, who's been, our number 2 or number 3 receiver for the last 2 years. He was our second leading receiver last year in terms of yards. Has been really strong for us since transferring from Ole Miss. So I think it's between them two for the number one spot that was vacated by Gabe Davis. But I'm really looking at Marlon to do that. Then you have Jacob Harris returning for a 6th year. And he's got a unique combo of strength and speed. I mean, I saw the UCF posted their fastest players. I think he was like the 2nd or 3rd fastest player on the team.
That's crazy.
He's just a speedster, and he just got to work on his, catching a little bit. But he should kind of be that 3rd guy. But behind him, there's a lot of excitement about Jalen Robinson.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about him.
Yeah, he's supposed to be everything before COVID shut down when, the UCF had spring camp was talking about Jalen. He looks like he's going to be really, really good. Apparently, he's one of the fastest guys on the team. So I'm looking at him to go into the slot receiver role and probably get a lot of minutes, a lot of playing time this year. And then behind that, I've been really excited about Amari Johnson. He's out of Carroll City High. They always produce great receivers. He's a really, really fast guy. He played a little bit last year and had a touchdown in garbage minutes, but I really like him to step up maybe as that 5th receiver next year. Or if there's some injuries, I think he could step in. But we're just loaded with a bunch of young up-and-coming guys, like even Josias Credle, who was in the most recent class.
He probably won't even be able to get on the field. Except for, they'll redshirt him in a way,
Exactly. Right. And he's the biggest receiver on the team right now, besides Jacob Harris. So I like him a lot. So there's just so much wealth. And then I'm looking for Kavan Ahmad to finally step in. He was Josh Heupel's first skill position recruit when Heupel got in here to replace Frost, and really has not seen the field at all since getting on campus. But he was kind of the crown jewel of Heupel's 2018 class, and he hasn't stepped on the field yet. So I'd really like to see him this year. But there's no problem with wide receiver talent at all.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. And the one he was talking about, Jalen, he transferred from Oklahoma.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So, there's been a lot of buzz about him, definitely. So I'm interested to see how he does.
I'm interested to see all these players that you mentioned.
Oh, it'll be great. Yeah,
there's just a ton of skill talent. And that doesn't even go into the running backs. So I think,
they're loaded. They're loaded.
Running backs. I think when I look at the running backs right away, you think of Otis Anderson. And I really think up to this point, we've underappreciated Otis Anderson, or at least the coaching staff.
Oh, he's a beast.
He's a beast. And if you ask me who I think the best player on the team, either side of the ball, I would say Otis Anderson is our best player on the team right now. He can catch, he can receive, he's a punt returner, he can really do it all. And I think next year he's just going to have a real true breakout year. We already saw it a lot last year. Even his freshman year, he was a beast when Frost was here. So with him in place, then who I've been excited for years has been Tavius Thompson. He's another Miami kid. He's kind of going to fill that Taj McGowan big back role. He's 200 pounds. He's not that small, shifty guy like an Adrian Killins or Otis Anderson. So Bentavious, when, Greg McCray and AK both got injured last year, so there was a lot of running backs injured, Bentavious really stepped into that role and led the team in touchdowns with 8. So I'm really looking with Otis and Bentavious to kind of take over that running back, be the dual-headed monster. And, of course, Greg McCray will still be there. But between the wide receivers and the running backs, when you talk about youth, I'm definitely looking at Bentavious from the running back side, and then Amari Johnson and Jalen Robinson from the receiving side.
Oh, definitely.
Nice.
It's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
And we're returning a great defense.
Yes.
that's
defense is stacked.
They just keep loading on those defensive linemen, so it's good. They got to keep the pressure on. Yeah. So
not just the linemen. How about our secondary?
Amazing.
It's unbelievable. UCF has been blessed, like I said, with a great secondary over the years, but this may be the best secondary we've had in school history. All 4 and potentially 5 starters are all seniors, and all of them have made an all-conference team or at least been an honorable mention at some point in their UCF careers. I mean, you have Aaron Robinson, an Alabama transfer who was a stud last year. He's coming back at cornerback. Tay Gowan, who was a community college transfer, was amazing last year when Brandon Moore got injured in that first game against FAMU. And then at safety, you have Antoine Collier and Richie Grant. Richie Grant was, just 2 years ago was the all defensive first team or all conference first team in the AAC. And then you have Brandon Moore coming back in, who's also an all conference guy. And he just posted on his Instagram the other day that he's coming back. So
that's
between
awesome.
Those 5, our secondary is absolutely shut down and loaded. And then, like you said, the defensive line is all either underclassmen or juniors, and we're I think number 4 in the nation last year in tackles for loss. So that level is completely stacked as well.
No, it's good. This reminded me, I was thinking back about all the cornerbacks and all, and I remember I went to UCF way back, okay? Way back.
What years?
I was there in the early 90s. So I was there when Dante was there. So,
wow. Cool.
So I remember when Brandon Marshall and Walker both had to play defensive back. They played defensive back one year because when they were freshmen, because they got so injured that they took them from the offensive side to that, and both of them got drafted as wide receivers. So that tells you something about them. It was pretty amazing. That was a pretty cool team, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's some legacy UCF players right there, and Cole Pepper and Brandon Marshall, but probably 2 of the most known UCF players and probably in school history.
Well, and the other one that was on that team, and it still amazes me, was Matt Prater, who's still kicking in the NFL. And this is a little trivia for you. The first bowl game we were going to win, we were playing against Nevada, and he shanks an after point for us to lose in overtime. And I'm like, and the guy is now like one of the best kickers in the history of the NFL. It just amazes me.
That was in 2005 in the Hawaii Bowl, right?
Yeah. It was amazing. But anyway, so how do you feel? We did a poll to some of our Instagram people.
Right.
And we asked them, should there be fans or not fans at the games if they open back up? And it was overwhelming.
I think about 80%.
I think 80% or more said
yes, they should let fans. And then we followed it up with a second part. Should it be 25% full or basically none?
No, like as many as can come.
Sorry. Yeah. As full as it can be, capacity or 25%. And I think within that was like another 90% said 25% full.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I guess you got to do whatever is safe, but I mean, I think, college football has such pageantry and such tradition that if you don't have fans there, it kind of just takes out such a massive element of the game that, I mean, selfishly, I would want a season either way, just because I would be really upset if I had to wait till 2021 to see another UCF football game. I think you got to have some fans there, even if it's not full. I mean, UCF recently, not until really the last 3 years, has been consistently voted as one of the hardest places to play. When Spectrum is completely sold out, it's really rocking. I mean, you saw it on College Game Day. You've seen it really the last few years. It's been an unbelievable environment. It gets me goosebumps when I'm at the games and how loud it can be. I think you got to have something, or UCF can't really utilize that home field advantage. I mean, right now we have the second longest home winning streak in the entire country, right after Clemson. They have 22 and we have 21 straight wins at home.
Wow.
So, and I think that can this year obviously extend to 27 or 28. But without fans, it's going to be, that's tough. I mean, I would rather have some fans than no fans, but I guess it comes down to, you got to be safe. I mean, you don't want people to start in danger.
So we did actually talk about this on another episode. If there were no fans in the stands and the season is to continue, how would this play on the players? You feed off of the crowd, you feed off of the energy. Would they just play as if there was everybody in the stands, or would they kind of be lacking a little bit with their game?
I think they would be naturally kind of lacking. I mean, it almost feel like a scrimmage in a sense where there's just no one there. I mean, obviously they're going to try hard because at the end of the day, some of them are going to be juniors and seniors that are trying to impress, scouts and have, their career after football career continue in football. So I think they still have to try their hardest and, and all that, and they want to win the games. It's still a competition, and they're still, facing the next, 11 guys in front of them that they want to beat. But I don't think you could really go into that extra gear when you're tired in the third, fourth quarter without the fan support. It's going to be hard. I mean, like last year, 2 years ago, Heupel did that legendary, this thing when he in the crowd and against Memphis in the conference championship, and that rallied the team. I mean, that was a point where UCF was down big and they rallied to win the game. And without fans there, that would have been meaningless. So to me, I think to answer your question, I don't think they could really get into that second gear of motivation without any fans there to pump them up.
Or even just to see, look up in the crowd and everybody has their phone out with the flashlight. I mean, just to see that, I mean, I'm sure that would give them that extra kick of adrenaline.
Oh, I'm sure it boosts them into another gear, you know? So
exactly. 100% agree.
Yeah. So I hope we have a fairly normal season. I'm hoping that because Disney is opening up, Universal is opening up. So I think if they're open and they're sending, 20, 30,000 people there a day and there aren't issues, then I hope everybody kind of extrapolates that and says, well, if you're having all these people coming from everywhere, why can't you have a football game? And then I hope at the same time people are like, be responsible. If you're sick, stay home.
Right.
I mean, that's the main thing of right now. This is the way we need to live. If you're not feeling well, if you're sick, you stay home. I mean,
I have season tickets, so I mean,
we do too. So we're ready.
We will be there regardless with our masks on.
That's the other thing I heard is, I don't know if you heard this, Iowa State announced that, that they're only going to do season ticket holders for now. And it makes sense because everybody's already bought their tickets, so they're not going to refund it. I'm looking forward to it.
It's a weird situation.
Okay, Alan, since you're our guest, typically we always end our show with a would you rather question. So I thought I would include you and give you guys this would you rather. Are you guys ready?
Yeah, hit me.
Okay. Would you rather take responsibility for losing the championship or have a teammate take credit for the win when you deserved it?
Oh, I'd probably go with the win because at least you got the win. And they'll probably do a little bit more for you than, a loss. So, and I guess, is the win, is that a championship win? There's no games after that?
I think it's just the championship. It's the big game.
Yeah, I got to take the championship.
Game.
Yeah, there's just more glory in the win.
I think so too, right? You just give it to your friend and be like, whatever,
and in your heart, you're going to know you're the winner. In your heart, you're going to be the winner, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
with all the video and social media, people will be able to watch the replay and be like, nah, he really got it for him anyways.
Yeah, someone will leak it. Someone on the team will leak it for you before you get to the locker room anyway. So it's like...
Exactly.
So, Alan, thank you for joining us today. Do you want to tell us about your Instagram and how people can find you?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for having me. You can follow me on Instagram, ucf.football.updates. I think right now I might be the largest UCF fan Instagram page, so shouldn't be too hard to find me. I post pretty regularly, almost once a day. I do season previews, recaps, game recaps, a bunch of list type content, and any type of UCF news I'm always talking about. And I answer pretty much every single comment. I love talking UCF with other fans. So if you want to read about UCF and talk about it with another fan, please follow me.
Yeah, it's really great. I love it. I enjoy it. And hopefully you can come back soon and we can talk some more. And, as the season goes, maybe talk about other UCF stuff.
I would love to. Absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, that ends today's episode. Thank you so much, Alan, for joining us. And you can catch him on UCF Football Updates on Instagram. And we will catch you next time.
Thank you for listening to Sports Bliss with Rob and Chris. Available on Anchor.fm, Apple Podcast, Spotify, and everywhere else fine podcasts are found. Follow us on Instagram and leave voice comments at 407-494-6420. This has been a Sports Bliss with Rob and Chris production.